Alright guys, today I'll be reviewing Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens, Tampa. This is one of my top bucket list coasters, period. I've always wanted to ride this since 2022, since it opened. It looked phenomenal. And did it live up to the hype? Well, I'll tell you that at the end of the video. But yeah, to start off, I want to mention that I'm a little biased against this ride just because a little situation at Busch Gardens that was going on. So, yeah, apparently it was closed all day the day before I went, and it was closed the majority of the day that I was there and only opened a couple hours before the park closed. And absolutely no communication about that. No word on it on social media, like the website, absolutely nothing. Like the app, you didn't get any information on Iron Gwazi. In fact, when it was closed, the app stated it was open a lot of times, which is like that can't happen. I've seen bad communication in parks, but this probably took the cake for the worst. Like when Velocicoaster was closed for a minute, like they'll let you know about that, but yeah, that was rough, but yeah, let's put that aside. Let's talk about the actual ride. I also want to mention I'm waiting a long time for these reviews because I want to actually think about the ride, not just jump to conclusions. That was kind of my bad in my top 25 video, just riding El Toro a couple days before and putting it number one. So I'm trying to avoid situations like that. So yeah, it's coming out a bit later, but let's get into the presentation of this ride. It looks pretty imposing, I'll say that. Not quite as imposing as Wildcat because you can't get right up to it. And of course, red on black is by far the best color scheme. Yeah, I was hoping for like a bit more hype in the station as well. Again, I'm going to compare this to Wildcat's Revenge and Steel Vengeance a lot in this video. Steel Vengeance even, the ride ops are a bit more energetic, I feel like, and yeah, on Wildcat's Revenge, it's like, yeah, that's by far the most hype station you'll ever find. But yeah, the station, the theming around it in general, there's not really a whole lot of it. It's just more well landscaped, kind of. And in the main field for the ride, there's like no landscaping at all. So that's something. But yeah, overall, I found you're going to be waiting a minute for this thing. I waited 40 minutes once and 50 minutes once. Again, only open a few hours, so everyone's probably rushing over to this. But yeah, it wasn't the busiest day. It wasn't quiet. So if it's like a mid-tier level crowds type of day, then definitely expect to wait a bit for this. In terms of row preference, I'd say I personally like the front a bit more. I only got 2 rides on it because of the situation, but yeah, I got second to back and second to front, so I have pretty good ideas of them, and I did like the second to front a bit more. Again, I feel like for most rides, the elements except the drop hit harder in the front. Again, Wildcat's Revenge is a really weird exception, but yeah, other than that, for the most part, I'm a front row type of guy. So yeah, this isn't really anything out of the ordinary for me. I will say I appreciate the ops. They do not staple that hard. You've got the screen behind you that shows when you hit minimum verification, and they don't really push that much further down because, yeah, I guess they're more respectful of enthusiasts than Universal, but I mean, that's fair for Universal because you're going to get stapled anyway on Velocicoaster no matter what. So, yeah, anyways, Iron Gwazi's trains, they look cool, and the restraints, I actually really like the RMC restraints. I know that's kind of unpopular. Yeah, they hurt a bit, but that's kind of what makes them good. You can really feel that raw air time. And also, I love the shin guards. I know that sounds ridiculous, but the shin guards allow you to keep the lap bar up the entire ride. Like, if you just press your shins against the shin guards, the lap bar is not really going to come down at all. Whereas, again, Velocicoaster, just an hour away, you're done the moment you go through that first launch. Whereas here, you can really go the entire ride without getting stapled. So, yeah, get as much room as you want. And once you get out of that station, you're going to be greeted with a pretty weird first dip out of the station. It kind of throws you laterally to the right, and also you get a little pop of airtime if you're in the back. So, I mean, it's no Wildcats Revenge pre-lift, but it's fun. After that, you're going to start up the lift hill. It's pretty slow, and I definitely don't like that slows down at the top. I know there's some people who like that, kind of feels like a dive coaster, but I mean, yeah, no, just go full tilt over the drop. It's stupid slowing you down. I kind of get it if they don't want the wheels to overheat or whatever, but yeah, still it kind of sucks. But you're going to go over that first drop. You're going to get some good floater in the front, good ejector in the back. It's not like El Toro Sky Rush type level ejector airtime, but it's pretty solid, I'll say that. But that's definitely not one of the better moments of the ride. After that drop, the valley doesn't really do a whole lot, except actually give some pretty good head choppers. I'll give it that. But then you're going to pop into one of the best parts of the ride, the giant outer bank. I love this on Steel Vengeance, and I'd say this one's about on par with the one on Steel Vengeance. It's a bit quicker, but a bit more aggressive. It's a little snappier, but again, just definitely not as sustained, I feel like. So after this is where you really realize that Iron Gwazi, it's as phenomenal as it is, its real issue is too much dead space. There's too much time in between elements is really the big problem I have with this. The elements themselves are phenomenal, but I just wish like they came one after the other, just rapid fire like Wildcats Revenge does. Because this stretch, especially from the giant outer bank to the death roll, is painfully dragged out. Yeah, you come out of that and you have this really weird, like, you can feel the wind in your face, but that's about it. No positives, no nothing. Like, ascent to the right. It's really awkward. Like, again, just so much weird space in between the elements. A lot of people really praise the pacing on this ride, and I could see that from, like, a actual, like, feet per second, like, standpoint, but in terms of flow and, like, sequencing and everything, there's, like, that's definitely the main problem with this ride is the flow of it, because what comes after is the death roll, and that is disgusting. Like, that is just pure violence, top 5 element for sure for me, probably best part of the ride, but leading up to it could be a little better. But yeah, the death roll, it's a crazy combination of, like, strong ejector, like in that outer bank or whatever, and violent laterals. It's truly something special. Second favorite inversion, and I'll talk about the favorite inversion next video. But yeah, I don't know, this element's so good. Yeah, I love this thing. But then after that, again, you've got this turn over here, and it's fast. You get actually a little chucked out of your seat in the back going out of it, and even in the front a little, but still, they could have done something really good here. I'd almost like to see, like, another wave turn almost, like one of the ones like on Wildcats Revenge where you're turning and then just randomly pop out of your seat. I would have way rather seen another one of those than this weird drawn out turn, or even like a full on cutback. Like, just make this a cutback at that point, but I don't know, you still feel the speed through it, so it's not too bad. And then you go into what could be the best part of the ride if the death roll wasn't. It's this sustained wave turn. It's so violent. I love it. It definitely lived up to the hype. It's just so disgustingly, like, violent. That's really the only way to describe it. The ejector is real on this. It really chucks you out. You can feel yourself, like, lifting up diagonally on this element. It's really weird, but yeah, I love it. It's sustained as well, which is nice. So after that, you're going to pop up into kind of a double up where the second up is a wave turn. And I really like this part of the ride. Definitely the most underrated part of the ride here. The step up is really powerful in the front. And then the wave turn part of it is really sustained and really good, I feel like. It's not a Wildcats Revenge wave turn, but it's still solid for sure. Then you've got the stall, another pretty underrated element, I'd say. It's not too sustained, I'll say that. It's not like you're going through Pantheon stall or anything, but yeah, you kind of get a weird, like, it's almost like a mini Wildcats Revenge stall, like another comparison to that ride. Little ejector pop going into it, little ejector pop going out of it, and a little sustained hang time during it. It's a pretty fun element for sure. Then you're going to turn around and go to the right, do a little step up, and that's outer banked as well, so that's another great ejector pop. Then you've got two more good ejector pops, another pretty dud turn to the right, and then one last violent hill, and then a turn into the brakes. And yeah, that whole section, again, the hills themselves are really good. It's just, I feel like they're not as rapid fire as they could be. I even think of Steel Vengeance's second half, and that definitely feels more rapid fire than this section does, which is really a shame. You have so much speed. You could be absolutely tearing through something. I mean, I imagine like you going through Air Force One's quad down or the finale on Wildcats Revenge, like something like that here, but there's a little too much space in between elements. And that's fine for the GP, I feel like. It's definitely an RMC that can please everyone. It's not like Air Force or Wildcat where it's really only for the enthusiasts. Everyone can enjoy this. But yeah, I just wish like there was a little less time in between elements. I will say I did have this a bit higher than I do now. Like after my rides, because recency bias and everything, and also yeah, like the more I think about it, just I wish it was a bit more rapid fire, just one after the other, nonstop, just thigh crushing ejector airtime, but the gaps in between the elements kind of hurt it. There's some really phenomenal elements. I mean, the death roll, the giant outer bank, that sustained wave turn. I mean, there's some great elements on this thing, which is why it's still going to get a 987 out of 1,000. It's my number 5 overall right now. It's phenomenal. But should anyone be calling this their number 1? I don't think so. I think if you want a really long, just crazy RMC that's not too crazy, Steel Vengeance should definitely be your number 1 still, and I do have this one over Steel Vengeance, just because I think, yeah, I think the pacing and the speed is a little better than it, but I still definitely have Wildcats Revenge as my number 1 overall, because, yeah, it's leagues ahead of this thing in terms of aggression, like just how rapid fire that ride is compared to this. So I definitely don't think anyone should be having this over Wildcats Revenge or Air Force One, I'm assuming. But yeah, those two definitely seem like the best RMCs. I do really like this thing. It's probably a top 5 RMC in the world, I'm betting. But yeah, it's a bit overrated, I'll say. It's not like it didn't make my top 10 or anything, but it could have been a bit better. So, yeah, that's my review on Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Let me know what you guys think of this ride in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.